Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Marriage Beyond the Breach. Some of you may know, and some of you may not, that May is a Mental Health Awareness Month. And I know we're on the last day, but tonight's episode is in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month. And listen, y'all. I got a very, very, very special person on with me this evening. Some of y'all already know who it is. It's the woman that I refer to as one of my favorite people on the planet. But, I want to just briefly talk about this episode, Hey Son, that we're going to be tackling tonight, because a lot of times people wait to seek support or help after they are already overwhelmed or they're already feeling emotionally depleted. So what we're going to be addressing tonight is the importance of mental health maintenance or seeking out help before you get to that place that could be described as in a crisis, so to speak. So without further ado, I am going to bring on our special guest for tonight, and I want y'all to show her some love. This is none other than Dr. Danita Thompson. Hey, Dr. Danita.
Hey, Valerie. Here I
It's
am
always
again.
Here you are again. It's always such a pleasure to have you here. And I know those who watch on a regular or even on a semi-regular basis, they're always thrilled when they see and they know that you're going to be on with me for whatever topic that we're going to be talking about, because you have just a wealth of knowledge and you always bring so much to whatever the topic of discussion is. So for those who may not know who you are and may be seeing you for the very first time, so just share a little bit about yourself, whatever you want the viewers to know.
So, I am, as you can see, Dr. Danita, and I am the owner and clinical director of Mending Hearts Behavioral Health and Family Services. And we are a New Jersey state licensed outpatient clinic, mental health outpatient clinic. And at Mending Hearts, we have now 23
Mm,
um, counselors that I call the counselors there passionate people helpers, and
yeah,
we absolutely love helping people work through all of their mental health, emotional health challenges, and
yeah.
just seeing people live free. I also I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. And so I have a passion for working with couples. However, all couples don't always reach the goal of reconciliation, which is
Hmm.
what my heart would be. So I am a
Hmm.
divorce mediator as well. So those who are not able to get to that place of reconciliation, I do hope to help them end well. And so those are two of the roles. I can share more later.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, as she said, that's only two, but Dr. Danita wears a lot of hats, and she is so. I think describing us at Mending Hearts, because I also serve at Mending Hearts. I think it's accurate to describe us as passionate people helpers, because everyone that I have encountered at Mending Hearts, that's what I know them to be. We all have a heart and a passion for helping people. And, sometimes people will say, well, Val, it's got to be challenging. It's got to be difficult. You listen to stuff and people's stuff all day and their problems. Yes, it can be challenging, but I consider it an honor. It is an honor
Yes.
to be chosen as the one to walk with someone through what for many of them is the darkest time of their life.
Yeah.
It's an honor, and it's not something that any of us, I believe, none of us take that lightly. We
Mhm.
recognize the seriousness of that. So, yeah, passionate people helpers, that is exactly what we are over there at Mending Hearts. And I am so happy. I am so thrilled. I am so blessed for that divine connection that occurred between myself and Dr. Danita back in 2021.
20, 20,
Was it 20?
no, 2020, because I measure everything by the pandemic. So we did meet, the pandemic was in 2020. So,
Exactly. Yes,
so we met
yes.
a little before
Mhm.
that. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, because I started as I did my practicum and my internship there at Mending Hearts, and I'm still there. You know,
Hmm.
I may have my hand in other things, but it is my goal and my plan to always have a part of Mending Hearts because Mending Hearts has been a part of my growth and a part of my development. And Dr. Danita and Mending Hearts was there for me when I needed a place to land as a brand new clinician. And Dr. Danita was my supervisor. She gave me wise counsel. She guided me. She still does. I don't mean to say it in past tense
Yeah.
because she's still there for me in many capacities. So, anywho, we're gonna stop this love fest and we're gonna
Yeah.
start talking.
Well, let me love on you for a second, because you always do the loving on me, but I don't get the opportunity to do the same for you. And I just want to say that I so appreciate. It's not every day that the boss gets to have more than one relationship with
Mhm.
with their employee, and I just thank God for your health. Your emotional health and mental health that enables you to have to wear more than one hat in my life. And so
Mm.
I really appreciate that. I really appreciate all of your encouragement as I navigate my role, and just even things in my personal life. I appreciate your prayers. I know that you pray for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Danita. Thank you, thank you. So, we're going to be talking about mental health care from a preventive or maintenance perspective. And anyone that's listening live, if you have questions, if you have comments, I'd like to know if you have engaged in therapy, counseling. What was your experience like? I know I did many years ago, not as soon as I should have, but eventually I did start, and I still have a counselor that I see on a regular basis. I see him individually, and Frank and I see him for couples counseling as well. Because Dr. Danita has said, just like what was it that was said Friday night, that every we I think
Pastor Joy.
Pastor
Yeah,
Joy said, yeah, Pastor Joy said every pastor should have a pastor, and I believe every counselor should have a counselor as well.
absolutely.
Because at some time we need to have a safe space to
Hmm.
share the goings on in our own life, because just because we're therapists and we might have those letters behind our name, that does not make us immune to life's stuff.
When life stuff hits, the brain does not say, but you're a therapist.
Absolutely.
The brain does what it
Absolutely.
does, right?
The the
And
brain does what it
mhm,
does. Now your partner or your friends might say, "Well, Val, you're a therapist." Yes, but right now I'm not. Right
mhm,
now I'm a wife. Right now I'm a mother. Right now I'm a friend, a sister, or whatever. Or
mhm,
maybe I'm just me. But right now I'm not a therapist. You're
mhm,
absolutely right, because the brain don't know all of that.
mhm,
The brain
mhm.
just knows, and the body knows what we are experiencing from an emotional perspective.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all of us need some therapy sometimes. So, let's get into it, Dr. Danita. So, when you hear the phrase preventive mental health, what does that mean to you?
So when I think of preventive mental health, I also think of preventive care and medicine. So
Mm,
in my opinion, it's the same. Being
hmm
proactive in checking on yourself, and being proactive in building emotional stability,
hmm
being proactive in ensuring that you have resilience, and um, just being aware of your
Yeah.
emotional capacity, so that you don't do more than you should do to, wear down your emotional wellness. Not taking on
Yeah.
other people's weight. All of that is
Mm,
preventive. If you know what you can handle, you won't be taking on other people's weight and burdens, and knowing your boundaries. All those
yeah.
things really do help prevent mental health challenges.
Yeah. And and that word capacity, I don't think we use it enough. And I don't think we
Mhm.
always recognize our own capacity or the capacity of other people in our lives.
Right.
Because,
Yeah.
there was recently, maybe a couple of months ago, when Frank and we were having a session with our counselor, we were having a couples counseling session, and the therapist, he brought up about capacity. You want to hear it because I just want Frank to do what I want Frank to do. I don't want to hear anything about capacity, but I had to stop and
Yeah.
recognize that that's a real thing because all of us have a certain capacity, and if we extend beyond that, then we do ourselves some a disservice. Would you agree with that, Dr. Anita?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important to know our capacity. So, why do you think so many people wait until they are in a crisis before they will seek support? Why do you think that is?
So, when I looked at that question, I thought about something that I had learned a couple of years back. And I'm thinking I probably should share it at one of our clinical training meetings, because I don't
Hmm.
think I have. But it really did help me. It gave me a new perspective on wellness and just taking care of yourself. So most people view health as either sick or well, like sick or
Mm,
health, at opposite ends. And
right.
there is a model. I can't remember. I don't remember who created the model, who developed the model, but it's a
Hmm.
illness wellness continuum. So from 0 to 100, with 100 being optimal health and 0 being, sickness. And people don't look at it's divided with neutral, and people don't necessarily look at the place in which they are living in that neutral space. The neutral
Mm,
space is is between sickness and health, but that neutral space really just indicates that you're surviving or you're existing. So you're not
right.
at optimal wellness. And so
Hmm.
most people don't start to think about their health until they start seeing some symptoms. So
Yeah.
when you're in that neutral space, you're not really experiencing any symptoms. There's no visible signs. So you just keep moving along with life. And you don't even recognize that there's so much more that you can have on the right side of the continuum, because you have
Hmm.
settled for what you have in that neutral space. And then when you start to feel some symptoms, going more towards the sickness
Hmm.
part of the continuum, then
Hmm.
that jars your thoughts, like, oh, I need to do
Mm.
something.
Wow, that's good. Yeah.
Mhm. And
Hmm.
so if one had been thinking to implement things in their life to get more towards optimal health, when situations hit, when crisis hits, it may not take you all the way to zero.
Right.
You may get for you're going to obviously lose some ground, but you may not fall full into crisis, down to
Yeah.
sickness.
And when we say crisis, what do we mean when we say that someone is in crisis?
So when someone is in crisis, they're at a space where they have lost their capacity to function as they have on a daily basis. Everybody,
Hmm.
not everybody's crisis is different, and everybody's functional
Right.
level is different, but they've lost their psychological capacity to handle day-to-day life.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good to look at it in that manner of being on a continuum. And in the middle, in neutral, it's better than being towards the a sick side, but it's not necessarily all that good either, because
Correct.
we're functioning, but
Mm-hmm.
we're not necessarily as well as we could be.
Right. And then when someone ends up in crisis, they do the
Hmm.
work, they start doing the work, they go to the doctor, they go to therapy, whatever, and they do the work, but then they end up stopping at neutral again.
Yes.
I feel
Yeah.
better, I don't have the symptoms, but they don't continue to do the things that would push them more towards optimal health.
Yes. That's good. That's
Hmm.
good. And I think sometimes we as clinicians have to keep that in mind with our clients,
Yes.
because we don't want to get them to neutral and now we're ready to terminate. We
Right.
need to continue the work,
Hmm.
even if we adjust, because I know sometimes I'll start with weekly, I'll go to biweekly, I'll go to monthly, and then I'll do periodic check-ins so that we're continuing to do the work. You may not need as much focus with weekly sessions, but
Yeah.
I think it's important for us to not stop at neutral.
Hmm. Yeah, often we're focused on whatever the maladaptive behavior is, and we're focused on making sure that that's not what the client is experiencing. And then once we see
Yes.
that they are, at this place where the maladaptive behavior is not the most prominent thing in their life, then
Hmm.
we don't necessarily think about, okay, now let's push a little more, so that they could experience
Yeah.
greater emotional health. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. I'm having an aha moment because I'm thinking that there may have been times when I've done that and I've stopped or
Yeah.
terminated when the
Hmm.
maladaptive behavior did end and didn't go necessarily beyond that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I'm having a real aha moment, and it's bringing some awareness of how I need to um, do some shifting in my practice with my
Yeah.
clients.
Yeah.
And that's good. Thank you for that. So let's talk a minute about untreated stress. So how does untreated stress show up in the body in terms of mood, relationships, or daily functioning?
So when stress is untreated, the body goes into stress triggers that fight flight in a response in the body,
Hmm.
and then it
Hmm.
kind of floods the system with the cortisol and adrenaline. And it's not that cortisol and adrenaline is bad. We need that for a lot of things that we do. We need it if we're in a competition, or we need it. I need some cortisol and
Hmm.
adrenaline just to get on these podcasts. I need I need the boost.
Yeah.
But so in short bursts, it's good. But when it becomes chronic, when the cortisol and
Mm.
adrenaline, when it's chronic, when stress is chronic, it can exhaust our physical and mental, like the reserves that
Yeah.
we have. And so when we think about what it does to the body, it's the tension headaches, the migraines. Sometimes we have racing hearts and panic attacks, and um, well, panic attacks is more of the emotional, but elevated blood pressure. Sometimes
Hmm.
we can carry it. We carry stress in different places in our body, but
Hmm.
our shoulders can get tight, our jaw, unexplainable body aches. Um, your gut gets impacted by stress. Your immune
Yeah.
system can be suppressed. So that's how it impacts your physical body. And when we think about our emotions or our mind, there's significant brain fog,
Mhm.
memory issues. We can experience significant overwhelm, irritability, the mood swings, difficulty sleeping. All those
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, affect our, our mental state. And then when we think about the relationships that we are in, we can be very short fused, limited
Mhm.
patience. I know
Mhm.
when anytime somebody is stressed out, their patience are more,
Very
limited,
short. Yeah.
very short.
Mhm.
So that limited patience or short fuse can cause more arguments, more conflicts, and the inability to stay present to resolve the conflict. Um, it can also cause decrease in your libido, your desire to be with your partner.
Mhm. Mhm.
Then if you have any like pre-existing mental health challenges, those would end up being magnified during those times of ongoing stress that
Yeah.
could lead to the further breakdown of the relationship. And then when we
Mhm.
just think about daily functioning, most people who are overwhelmed with stress, they'll procrastinate, they'll feel stuck, just can't get moving.
Mhm.
There's definitely lower productivity, and um, people end up calling out sick more often from work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow. So
Yeah.
stress, I always say stress ain't no joke.
It isn't.
And it's not to be underestimated because it takes
Mm-mm.
a toll on us entirely, the entirety
For
of our
sure.
being.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Sure.
important for us to address that. I remember many, many, many years ago, back when I first started as a nurse, I was working at Brookdale Hospital in Brooklyn, and it's the only place ever I've heard of doing this. We, in addition to our vacation days and sick days, we had mental health days that we could
That
use.
far
We
back
could
then?
call in back then. And
Wow.
this was, I started working at Brookdale in around 1980-ish. It was probably around 1980 because it was my second job. My first was at NYU, and then I went to Brookdale around 1980. And we were allowed somewhere between around 2 or 3 mental health days a year. And we could call in and say,
Wow.
I need a mental health day. We didn't have to use a sick day. We didn't have to use a vacation day.
Wow.
And and that was back then. And I think being that there's more talk these days about mental health care and the importance of it, you would think that
Hmm.
that would be something that a lot of businesses or whatever would kind of build into their framework, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we could benefit from that because I know in other countries, people even get more vacation time than we do here in the United States. Most people only get 2 weeks a year, and they have that lumped in. They might have what they call overall PTO and maybe a total of three
Yes.
weeks or something. And if you call out sick, that cuts into all of that. So now you ain't got no vacation, no more vacation time if you were ill.
Yeah.
So
And then
yeah,
there's the
yeah.
jobs that I mean the countries that have that siesta time. The is it
Uh,
yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
every
Everything
day they
shuts
get the
down.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Maybe that's something that we can implement. Well, working from home, I
Yeah.
occasionally I make my own siesta when I have time between clients.
Mhm.
I might not, nap or anything, but I might go sit and put my feet up for a little
Yeah.
while. And sometimes I'll just do nothing. But I think it's important to have, and you talk about this a lot, practices in our life that we can engage in to lessen and minimize some of the stressors that we experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, because
It's
go ahead.
definitely I mean, we're a mental health clinic, so it's definitely my goal. I've talked about it
Hmm.
with the full-time staff because they see so many more clients. I have
Hmm.
about making room in the budget. We're at the place where we can make room in the budget to be able to give them some, mental health time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, because they do. They see a whole lot more clients
Mhm.
than people
Yeah.
like myself or Miss Sharon or whatever.
Mhm.
Because I think Sharon, she see 1.5 clients.
She she live on a siesta.
I remember when I first met her, and I was an intern, and I was seeing clients on Saturdays back then. Because when you're an intern, you got to get those
You do
hours
what you
wherever
do.
you can get
Yep.
it. You do what you got to do. And I was talking to her about that. She said, "Child, working on Saturday is against my religion. I ain't about to do that."
Yes.
So yeah, we have to, and I think that's it's really healthy when we can structure our work life to fit our personal life as opposed to the other way around.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
that's a wonderful idealistic.
Ideal, yeah, ideally. I know everybody can't do that. It's not
Yeah.
possible for everybody to do that.
Mhm.
And I think when you can't have those practices where you can, those de-stressing practices, and because sometimes somebody will work all day. First of all, they'll commute to work for whatever amount of time that is,
Mhm.
work 8 hours, commute back home for whatever amount of time that is, and usually it's between 9 and 10 hours span, and
Mhm.
then you come home and you just jump right in. You
Yeah.
got the kids and you got to cook dinner and you got the husband and you got all of that. And sometimes I will encourage my clients to just take 10 minutes
Mhm.
before you jump into all the stuff of the home, even if you have to do it in your car
And I
before you
used to
go
do
inside.
that. I used to do that,
Hmm.
and I have recommended that to my clients as well. I used to drive up to the house, but that daughter of mine, I could look up at the window. So this is my time. I'm sitting in the car. I'm de-stressing, and she's knocking on the window, waiting for me to come inside. And she's
Yeah, yeah.
mouthing things like she's trying to have a conversation with me. So I have to put my head down. This is
Yeah, and
mom.
act like you don't see it. Yeah, yeah. Because if not, you're going from the time your feet hit the floor until
Yes.
the time your head hits the pillow.
Yeah.
And that's not always the healthiest way to operate. And I think when we do that, eventually we're going to hit that wall.
For sure.
And yeah, we're going to eventually hit that wall. So to talk about that, so Dr. Nita, what do you think is the difference between someone who's just busy and tired versus someone who is moving toward burnout or
Yeah,
emotional depletion? How might they be able to tell the difference?
yeah. So, people get busy and tired regularly every day.
Hmm.
We live in America. So,
Hmm.
busy and tired is the order of the day, but so
Hmm.
that's pretty normal, but it's temporary. So, busy and tired
Yeah.
means you can take it down, you can rest, you can take a nap, your sleep overnight will,
Hmm.
you'll be recharged in the morning,
Yeah.
do one less thing, go to bed earlier, that kind of thing. But when
Hmm.
we are talking about burnout, it's more of emotional and mental depletion.
Mm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's deeper than busy and tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
And overnight rest doesn't cure it. So you go to bed, you wake up feeling the same. And burnout is more persistent,
Hmm.
and it's from long term stress that where people are not dealing with the stress. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and with busy and tired, you know that there's an end. So I have this project at work and it's keeping me very busy, but it's going to come to an end. Or I'm going to put the
Hmm.
kids to
Hmm.
bed at 8 o'clock, and that part of my busyness is going to come to an end, and I'll be able to
Yeah.
rest. So
Hmm.
busy and tired, you know that there's a finish line, but when you are at that place of emotional depletion or burnout, you don't you like you feel hopeless or helpless, like the end is very unclear because
Yeah. Yeah.
you can't figure out where that or how that end would actually come to fruition.
Mhm.
So yeah, and sleep is not curing it. Just saying, after I finish this project, when you have allowed yourself to go to the place of burnout, there's more work to be done than taking a nap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So at that point, would you recommend that someone just kind of unplug and disconnect for an extended period of time, as well as engaging in some mental health care?
So I would imagine it's different for everyone because everyone
Mhm.
doesn't get that opportunity to just unplug. You got
Mm.
a single mom can't just unplug. People who have demanding jobs, they can't just walk away from it.
Mm.
Maybe somebody could take a break. If they can take a break, they should. If they
Yeah.
can take a leave, they should. But at the very least, they should go to therapy so that the therapist can help them come up with a plan
Mm.
for for moving beyond this burnout and for assistance with the tools that will be necessary and the plan of action that's necessary to overcome it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that depletion is serious. I know sometimes I've had a client where they were kind of at that space, and I'm asking about, okay, what are the things that bring you joy? What kind of puts a smile on your face? And they were at such a hopeless place. They said
Couldn't even think.
nothing. They
Yep.
can't even think of anything
Mhm.
that brings joy to their life. So that when you hit that space,
Yep.
that's a rough spot.
Yep.
And because you feel like you're not going to get back. You're not going to bounce back from that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's where
That's
we
it.
where we come in to hold space for them because it is a very hopeless and helpless space for them to be in. And so as we
Mhm.
hold space and help them to encourage them that this is not their life sentence, with some work they can move beyond this space, and hope is around the corner. But they
Mhm.
have to do the work.
Yeah, yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
They got to do the work. Because some people say, "Oh, therapy don't work," and I say, "Well, it works if
It
you
works
work
if
it."
you work it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you got to do the work. I tell my clients all the time, "Listen, I ain't a magician. I ain't got no magic wand. I ain't got no fairy dust. I ain't got no none of that.
None of it.
But I do have some tools that I can assist you with, but you've
Hmm.
got to utilize those tools." So
Yeah.
yeah, it'll work if you work it. Oh, that's Cookie Man. He said, "Hey,
Hey,
SS, sent me a
Frank.
sunshine," and Dr. D. So
Well, I
anyone
figured
who's
I'm not
listening,
the
if
SS. So
I know, right? Call, if you have questions for Dr. Danita, feel free to put them in the chat. And again, if you have had experience with mental health care, we'd like to hear about that as well. So, Dr. Janita, what about those individuals who could be considered those high functioning ones? We kind of just ignore our own pain, we ignore our own signals our body is telling us because we're so used to being strong for other
Mhm.
people around us.
So I know you threw that question in there because you knew that this was my story.
That's your story.
You knew that I could answer this one.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about me, um, well, me yesterday, because that's not me now. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it can be if I don't pay attention. Um,
Right.
yeah. But the one thing that I know about high functioning people is that we have a very high tolerance for pain. And so when
Mm.
you say that high functioning people ignore their pain, a lot of times we don't even feel the pain because we have
Mm.
a high tolerance for pain. When healthy people communicate, this is too much, I've reached my limit, I'm pulling back, over functioning or high functioning people will say, oh, I can't believe you don't, you don't have it in you to do the next, because I do it, And so
Yeah.
we don't even recognize that that is a healthy person that is recognizing their limit and creating a boundary, because we had no
Hmm.
boundaries.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
just keep going. and
Yeah.
so high functioning people um are deteriorating from the inside out, and they don't even recognize it.
Mm.
And so the high functioning person, when we think about that continuum, we're definitely not going to think about anything until we start to feel the symptoms. And
Yeah. Yeah.
high functioning people are typically not in touch with their bodies. They're
Mm.
more cerebral. And so when you're not really in touch with your body, then you're not paying attention to sensations, you're not paying attention to the things that you feel. You don't pay attention to it like is a real pain. Like
Yeah.
it hits you to the place where you don't have a choice but to pay attention.
Hmm.
So we don't take I'm not going to speak to myself in the present. I didn't take time to just sit and be with myself and think about what I'm feeling in my body, or where my emotions are. I just moving
Yeah.
kept
Yeah.
moving, kept showing up for everyone, kept doing the things that needed to be done, building the business, doing ministry, being a mom and a wife, and all the things that I was
Yeah.
doing. Um, and I will say this, that when this therapist took herself to a therapist, I realized that, and just to say, just because we're therapists and we're helping other people, just like we said in the beginning, we don't always, because we are in that continuum of not feeling bad, we don't always recognize ourselves,
Hmm.
where we are, because I was making life happen. I was doing all
Hmm.
the things,
Hmm.
getting the degrees and building the business. I'm doing good things. So I didn't
Yeah.
necessarily recognize, because people come to therapy when they're in crisis. So I wasn't in crisis.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I was going somewhere with that. I said high functioning. I was going to say something. Hmm. It'll come back to me.
It'll come back.
Yeah. Um, but so people who are high functioning, the coping mechanisms become their survival habits, so that they just survive off of the coping mechanisms that they
Yeah.
have developed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so what ends up happening in this, the nervous system, it can't continually operate in high stress. And so you will end up having like a sudden crash out. Or for
Hmm.
me, I was only in my mid 30s, and I had what they called it a spontaneous herniation. I herniated in my lower back, um,
Mm.
one of my discs in my lower back, and I
Hmm.
hadn't been in
Hmm.
car accidents, I hadn't fallen, none of those things, and they called it
Mm.
a spontaneous herniation from stress.
Wow.
And so when pain is not processed incrementally, as we go along in life, as it is
Hmm.
experienced, the body will just force a break, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it'll either force the break physically, or it'll force the break
Hmm. Hmm.
mentally.
Yeah.
And then you end up like numbing out, or having the emotional burnout, depression, anxiety, or having a psychotic break.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true, because eventually there will be a breakdown somewhere,
Mhm,
physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, somewhere, when
mhm,
you ignore it, and not, well, not necessarily ignore, but you don't have the awareness to even recognize what's happening, when it's happening until it
Mhm.
is very severe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I know what I was gonna say. So, high
Hmm.
functioning people subconsciously, they're not like actively aware, but typically high functioning people are high functioning because they don't want to live in their truth. They don't want to know. They don't
Mm.
want to think about their life. They don't want to think about the unpleasant things or truths that they would have to come to, or decisions that they would have to make, or so
Hmm.
you just
Hmm.
keep moving, and then you don't have to take time to think about or to
To
be
think about it.
yeah, or to be disappointed with where you are in life. So if you just keep moving,
Hmm.
then
Hmm.
you don't have to deal with those things.
Yeah. Got so much on your plate. Yeah.
Mm,
And you just keep
yeah.
going and going and going.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Frank said life work so many times doesn't lend opportunities to focus on oneself so that pain is pushed to the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can absolutely happen. Um, yeah, for us functioning people. But
Mhm.
because I remember when our children were young, and there were a couple of times when I feel like I had gotten to that place with those three small babies and all of that. And I told Frank, listen, I need a break. I checked into a local hotel
Mhm.
with a big bag of peanuts and a 2 liter Pepsi.
You know,
I,
those peanuts and Pepsi from back in the day, when we would come home from church, my mother would always have the peanuts and Pepsi.
oh my goodness, my mother loved the same
Yes,
thing. And that was
it's
my
the
thing.
best.
I had that big bag of peanuts in the shell, and I
You
sat
gotta get the
there
one with the
watching
shell.
TV,
Absolutely.
hmm shelling peanuts, drinking Pepsi, and just
Mhm.
relaxing because I love my husband, I love my children, but my last nerve had disappeared. I ain't have no more. And I just had to
Yeah.
escape and just take a couple of nights at that hotel, just relaxing and just, yeah,
Well,
unplugging.
I didn't learn that
Uh,
lesson. I didn't learn that lesson until a few years ago, and I started, stealing away like that. But
mm,
my children were already
yeah.
adults, so yeah.
I hear that. So Sadell said, oftentimes high functioning people have to get to the point where the universe makes them sit their ass down and be still because they won't do it themselves. Yeah. And you're right, Sadell. And for those of us within the body of Christ, within the Christian community, we say that sometimes God will whisper. He'll say something a little louder to get your attention, and something else will happen that's a little
Mhm,
louder in terms of getting your attention, and then eventually something major will occur
mhm. But
that will get your attention.
it would be so
Mm-hmm.
wonderful as people are giving so many hours to the body, to the church, to the work of ministry.
Mm,
It would be so wonderful for leadership to recognize and not
yeah.
wait for God to, for us to get all of those signs, that it would be built in the system that we take breaks.
Right. Yes. Oh, and not overtax the people
Volunteers.
who are the volunteers, because that's what you are. You're a
Mhm,
volunteer. You ain't getting paid for none of
mhm.
that.
Right,
I know
but
they're church
you
staff.
think
Mm-hmm.
you think because it's the church, you don't have that that leeway or that opportunity to say, I'm not doing this and I need a break.
Yeah. You need a
Because it's
break.
God's work.
Yes. There is a church in Philadelphia. Oh, I can't, the name escapes me right now because I was taking some classes there in Christian counseling. Um, and the pastor there for married people,
Hmm.
they cannot serve on more than one ministry. He won't allow it.
That's a man after God's own heart.
Hmm. He will not allow it because otherwise, some churches, they will wear you out.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
wear so many different hats. You're on this committee and you're head of this one and you do that and you do the other thing. And he says, absolutely not. If you are
Hmm.
married, if you're single, you can serve on two. That's the
Hmm.
limit. But if you're married, he won't allow you to serve on more than one.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed by that.
Yeah. Hmm.
Very, very impressed by that. So speaking of church, so how can we honor prayer, faith, and spiritual support while also making room for counseling, for clinical care, and practical mental health tools?
Mhm. So prayer and faith, uh, spiritual support, along with counseling and using mental health tools, provides, in my opinion, a very holistic approach
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to living. Prayer alone can heal. It can't heal a broken bone, or diabetes. So prayer alone is not sufficient to maintain mental health. It is part of maintaining mental health, um,
Yeah.
and it has a significant role, but it's not in and of itself going to maintain
Mm-hmm.
your mental health. And well, just as an aside, people view mental health, they don't view mental health like physical health. I don't
Right.
think that people understand that everybody has mental health, just like everybody has physical health.
Physical health.
And just
Right.
as physical health can be challenged, your mental health can be challenged. All of it is health,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Mm-hmm.
all part of our body. And so, when we think about prayer, meditation, those are tools that can help.
Yes.
They can help, tools that the counselor uses that can help with grounding. It can help reduce stress, help reduce the
Stress.
cortisol
Yeah.
levels. Um, uh, Prayer and meditation are grounding, where they activate the parasympathetic nervous system,
Mm-hmm.
that helps with our rest and relaxation.
Yeah.
When we think about faith, it helps us to find purpose. However, if we're not doing work that we need to do to overcome childhood traumas or
Mm-hmm.
other challenges, we won't be able to walk in that purpose. We won't be able to live out that purpose. So we'll have an idea
Right.
of purpose, but it won't have come to our hearts so that we can actually manifest it. So we need
Mm-hmm.
that help, that clinical help, so that we can deal with those issues that keep us from manifesting our purpose. So it all works
Yeah.
together. And a good Christian counselor can help you integrate it all so that it can, be a well um, a well thought through, treatment plan for the client,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so that it's a holistic treatment plan for the client, so that they can see how spirituality and their mental health or emotional health, physical health are not separate but integrated.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Mental health. We all have mental health. It's like we all have physical health. It's the
Mhm.
same body.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But we like
And
to make some distinction.
if one
Mhm.
breaks down and one is challenged, is going to impact the other.
It will impact the other. There's
Yes.
no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yeah.
Nope.
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because it's going to
Yep.
happen.
Hmm.
Yeah,
For
that is
sure.
that is so true. And I think that's the sweet spot when you have that integration of
Hmm.
faith and therapy. That is such a sweet, sweet
For sure.
spot. Yeah, because we need it. We
Yeah.
absolutely need, yeah,
For
we
sure.
need prayer.
Hmm.
But I mean, let's just keep it real. Everybody who's sick and praying to be well ain't gonna get well. It's
Right.
just ain't gonna happen. Okay? Because I say
You
all the
mean
time,
you mean
even
by
even
you
the
mean by a miracle? You mean by
by
like
a
a
miracle.
miraculous, by
Right.
a miracle?
Right. There
Hmm.
won't be some
Hmm.
miraculous healing.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
is not going to experience that
Hmm.
because even the people that Jesus healed in the Bible eventually died from something.
Yes. Hmm.
They ain't still here.
I believe that I believe that God wants us to walk in divine health. And in order to walk,
Hmm.
um not wait for miraculous healing. He can do that.
Right.
He can give us a
Yes.
miraculous, but I believe he wants us to walk in divine health, which means we have to
Hmm.
cooperate and we have to do the things in order to
Yes.
maintain that.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. And I believe that as well because he's provided everything that
Hmm.
we need to live
Hmm.
in and walk in divine health. We
Yes.
just don't always do those things and we
Yeah.
don't partake of those things.
And he created our bodies to do a lot of healing of itself, but we constantly do things that counteract that process.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Yes. I remember when I was in nursing school and I took that anatomy and physiology class. Ooh, I said, look at God. Everybody,
Hmm.
I don't I don't think anybody else made the connection, but I made
Right.
that
Yes.
connection. The way
Hmm.
that God designed our bodies. So
Hmm.
much of our bodies can heal itself.
Yep.
I'm always amazed at that. I don't care about no Big Bang. I don't care about no evolution or no, none of that. From my perspective, and I will die on this hill. I believe that God designed our bodies because there's so much perfection
So
in the
much,
ways
so
that
much
he designed
intricacy.
it. Intricacy. That's
Hmm.
no mistake. That ain't no mistake.
Mm-mm.
Anywho, I could talk about that forever. So, but we're gonna move on. But I'm gonna tell you, I was a freshman at A&T and I took anatomy and physiology, and I was just in awe of how God
Hmm.
designed us. Yeah,
Yeah.
just in awe.
Yeah.
So, what would you say to somebody? They say, okay, well, I'm not depressed enough, or it's not bad enough, or a lot of people say this. There's some folks who got it worse than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what do you say to those
I asked the
individuals?
question like, what is bad enough?
Mm,
So when people say it's
mm-hmm.
not bad enough, like what is bad enough? Um, if you're feeling something, it's not going to repair itself without getting
Right.
some sort of help. So
Mm-hmm.
if it's not bad enough today, just live another 2 days because it's going to get worse.
It'll get worse.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
And that statement that grinds my gears. I know that there's always going to be someone who is
always.
worse off than me. I absolutely know that. But that
Mm-hmm.
does not negate that I'm going through something and
Right.
that I'm having an experience. And it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
invalidate my experience. Like my experience is real for me right now. Whether
Mm-hmm.
it's somebody else has something, heavier, what I'm going through right now, I've reached my capacity and my experience is real.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. And we do ourselves a disservice by
Mhm.
comparing
Mhm.
to someone else and what they might be going through. Because two people can have the exact same experience, but it impacts them very differently.
Differently.
So
Yes.
we can't compare ourselves to someone else. Yeah, you're right. There's always somebody doing worse, and guess what? There's always somebody doing better.
Yep. But right now, this is about me and what I'm experiencing.
Right.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what about family members and loved ones? How can they
Mhm.
encourage their family member or friend or significant other to get help without shaming them or putting pressure
Yeah.
on them?
I think it's very easy to put shame or to pressure, and people sometimes do that out of fear,
Mm-hmm.
or not always out of fear, but also out of selfishness. Because when a family member is going through something, it impacts everybody, and
Yeah.
the other family members is breaking down the system, and so other
Mm-hmm.
family members want the system to be fixed, quickly, so that we can continue to do life the
Yeah.
way we have been doing it. So I think it's more important to recognize your family member that is going through the experience, rather than what you just want to see happen for yourself. um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so if we recognize that, then we will go to them out of a heart of concern and say that, I'm concerned, I noticed that you're not yourself.
Mm.
or I miss who you are, that's fine. It's not necessarily saying, you used to do this for me or that for me. I just miss who you were. Um,
Yes.
and point out those characteristics that you miss rather than focusing on the negative things, like you're always in the bed and you're always got the covers over
Mhm.
your head, or you're always sad, or you always have something negative to say. You can say, I miss how vibrant you were. I miss all of the laughter. And that will help, like, bring awareness, because sometimes people fall into their mental health challenges, and it sometimes is gradual, or sometimes they don't even recognize what they're doing differently. They don't recognize how bad it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They don't recognize how bad it
yeah.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a better approach to talk about the things that were good, that
Mhm. Mhm.
gives them some sort of thought process that I don't do those things anymore that I used to enjoy, and I would
Yeah.
like to get to those things. And then, not to pressure, they have to be ready to go to therapy, but
Mm.
saying, I'm here for you. I'm here to support, but I'm not a professional. So, would you be willing?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes. And maybe be willing to go with them and just sit in the waiting room
Yeah,
while they have
yeah.
their session. Be willing to do that.
Hmm.
And sometimes
Hmm.
maybe family members, they may be part of the issue. They may be part of the
Indeed.
contributing factor to the
Hmm.
mental health challenges. And I love on the intake at Mending Hearts, there's a question to ask whether you would like to have your family to be
Yes.
a part of
Hmm.
the process, because I
Yeah.
think it's important sometimes. And even sometimes when someone might initially say no on the intake, when
Hmm.
I've built up a relationship with them, and that level of trust is there, I'll ask about
Yeah.
bringing in a sibling or a parent or a child,
Yeah. Hmm.
because sometimes, cause just as you said, it's that family system. It's not always just the identified patient.
Patient. Right.
It's the whole system that could
Hmm.
be dysfunctioning.
Yeah.
And just if one person gets healthier but still have to exist in that dysfunctional system, they can be helped, but they still got to exist in that
Yeah.
dysfunctional system. And
Yeah.
sometimes that can be very challenging.
Very. Yeah. Hmm.
That can be very, very challenging.
Yeah. That's good, Val.
Okay. So we've been talking about emotional maintenance. So, from a practical perspective, what might that look like?
Yeah. Here's where it gets, like, people come to therapy and they don't think that these practical things are what we should be telling them. And they feel like, I paid you a copay for you to tell me that I should get proper sleep, and that these are the very basic things to
Mm-hmm.
maintain emotional wellness. Get
Yes.
fed at a get a good amount of sleep, 6 7, if you can get 8 hours a night, that's
Mm-hmm.
optimal.
Mm-hmm.
um
Yeah.
Hydrate, drink
Mm-hmm.
water every day, eat well,
Mm-hmm.
reduce those carbs and reduce the sugar, so that
Mm-hmm.
you're not putting yourself in a position of persistent inflammation. Get sufficient sunlight. The vitamin D is necessary for
Mm-hmm.
wellness. You have to get out and move. These are very basic
Yeah.
things. And when people come to counseling and they're not doing these basic things, it makes the work of dealing with trauma, or dealing with some of the other childhood challenges, or the things that they need to work on. It hinders, because they're not giving
Yeah.
themselves a basic foundation to work from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I also say, you have to live life on purpose. You have to live life intentionally. Way too many people get up every day and whatever life throws at them, they got to go to work. They got to get the kids out. They got to cook. There's so many things that you absolutely have to do. But there are things that you need to intentionally do that
Yeah.
you don't necessarily have to do, and they don't just come naturally. So I think it is absolutely essential to pause, to take pauses throughout the day, just to think about what you were thinking about, because some of us, our brains are like on autopilot. They could be like runaway train wrecks if we
Mm-hmm.
don't take time to and that wears you down, wears you physically down when your brain doesn't turn off. So
Yeah.
taking that time to pause throughout the day, I have it in my phone, in my calendar. I have pauses like every 3 hours where
Mm-hmm.
I just take a moment to breathe and to think about what I was thinking about. And the reason why I do that is to make sure that my brain isn't on some negative train,
Mm,
um,
mm-hmm.
some
Mm-hmm.
pilot of negativity. So
Yeah.
at that moment, I can shift and practice some sort of gratitude, or just shift my thought process.
Mm-hmm.
Journaling is necessary for emotional maintenance, because if we hold it all in our head and don't get it out, don't get it on paper or even audio journal,
Yeah.
um,
Mm-hmm.
it has so much value. Being reflective and thinking about your your emotions and what you felt throughout the day. If you are able to do this regularly, then you will know when something is wrong a whole lot earlier, because your
Yes.
system is almost like when we go for mammograms or for breast exams. They say if you check regularly, you will know when something is off, right?
Right.
So if these things are done intentionally every day, but you have to build it in. It's not, time doesn't just allow itself for these
Mm-hmm.
types of things. Spending time in community with like-minded people or with
Yeah.
family, it refuels you. It absolutely refuels you. And if you are a person that says, I don't need nobody, you need to go to counseling. Period.
I agree.
Leave it right
Yes.
there. You need to go to counseling. And
Yes.
just being honest when you do sit with your feelings. Be honest and validate that it's okay to feel what you're feeling, because
Mm-hmm.
you have the right to feel what you're feeling, rather than bypassing it or stuffing it, or I got to get on, I don't have time to sit in this. It's important to honor your feelings, and honor
Mm-hmm.
that something really did hurt, or um, this is really bringing me pain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
important, because you can't get to the other side until you know what you're feeling, until
Yes.
you know
You'll
what's.
you'll stay right there.
Yeah,
That's really good.
yeah,
Um, a couple of things you said when you first started out talking about doing those basic things. I know there's a client that who she's a vegan, and she was talking about having, feeling brain fog and not having energy and whatnot. And I asked her, I was like, let's talk about your diet. What are you consuming? Because I know you're a vegan. Well, she talked about making a smoothie in the morning. Great smoothie, all the what do you call them? Not antioxidants. Yeah, antioxidant vegetables
yeah,
and
yeah.
all of
Mhm.
that, and that's great, and that's great. I said, but where the protein? I said,
Mm.
there's no protein in that at all. And that's what you've had in the morning. And now we're talking, and our session is at 6 o'clock in the evening, and you haven't had anything else. It's no wonder your brain is
Yeah,
foggy. I said, so we've got to talk about how to build in some additional protein,
she hasn't
and at
given any
least
fuel. Mm-mm.
yes, and there's no fuel. And then she's still going to the gym and doing all of that. And I was saying, listen, you're not giving your body anything to work with. So we talked about that,
Yeah.
and yeah, because and you're right, because sometimes people think that there's this stuff, or we got this edict down from on
Yeah.
high that we're gonna share.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's as simple
Mhm.
as, baby, you got to eat.
Mhm. And
Sometimes it's
then,
that simple.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say, and then we talked about earlier doing this thing holistically. So we do need to fuel our faith, and
Right.
whether it's reading scripture or prayer or even fasting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those things
Mm-hmm.
help, to bring more. It will encourage us more, but it all has to be practiced in an integrated way. And
Yeah.
practicing gratitude. There's a lot of science behind that and how it impacts positive mood.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
definitely does. Definitely does. So during this Mental Health Awareness Month, what is one message, and it's more than one, you can share that too, that you believe people need to hear most about caring for their mental and emotional health?
I would go back to that continuum of illness versus wellness, and I typically say on these podcasts that people really shouldn't live beneath their privilege of wellness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you are settling for being in that neutral space, you're living beneath the privilege. um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
of where you could be. And so, just as people are encouraged to go to the doctor for preventative care, we should get checkups with a therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't even know that they have stuff that they need to work on because they've just become so accustomed to accepting where they are.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
really true. Yeah. We need to do checkups
Yes.
for our
Hmm.
mental health, just like we do for our physical health. There's such a thing as you go for your yearly physical
Yep. Hmm.
or twice a year, depending upon what your health is like. And sometimes we need to
Hmm.
do that for our mental health as well. I know when I have clients that I haven't seen in several months, I'll reach out to them to see where they are, what's
Mhm,
going on. Would you like to have a session? And sometimes they'll say, yeah, you know what, I could use to come in
mhm,
and talk about some stuff. And I'll say, okay, well, we can get you on the calendar. And sometimes they'll say, no, no, I don't, I feel like I don't need it. And then I'll say, okay, so we haven't met in 6 months. Since you don't want to come in, are you okay with terminating? And then, I'll go through the termination process. But I periodically do reach out to
mhm.
clients I haven't met with in a while, because
Yeah,
sometimes it falls off. It's
yeah,
easy, and the busyness of life, for them to not think about, oh well, let me call Mending Hearts, or let me just text Miss Valerie and see if I can make a session. So some of it, and I know I'm not saying that I'm right, this is just how I practice. I think some of it is my responsibility to help them care for themselves. So I don't know if that's right, wrong, good, better, and different. I know
I
sometimes I
I
give myself extra work, but
mhm.
I feel a responsibility to help them care for themselves.
I think that, that's a yes, it's an end and a but, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
there are people that we have to coach along until they get to the place where they intentionally begin to care for themselves. But we have
Mm-hmm.
to be
Mm-hmm.
careful that we are not the ones enabling in it. That I know Miss Valerie will call me when it's time, you know?
Yeah, you're right. You're
People
right.
do have to take ownership for their
Mm-hmm.
wellness. Because if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
didn't call, then what are they gonna do? Just let themselves go and be back at the same space, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at some point, it has to be you learned this in counseling. So now I need you to intentionally use it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
We learn. We don't work harder than the client, right?
We don't work harder than the clients. Absolutely. We don't work more harder than them. So, Dr. Danita, so talk
Mhm.
about what is next for you. What's going on, and how can I'm going to put up your website there. So,
Yes.
talk a little bit about Dr. Danita.
So
What's going on?
yeah. So first, I do want to share that when I hit my wall, I took my journey of wellness, and I wrote this journal. It's called Set Your Body Free, Mind, Body, and Spirit. It's a journal to
Mm-hmm.
freedom. And
Mm-hmm.
in the journal, it is 30 days, but it's not dated 30 days, and you date whenever you get to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's opportunities for morning reflection, what you're grateful for. There, the topics in here are divided into mind, body, and spirit. And so there's scriptures here for you to reflect on as well. There are affirmations in the
Mm-hmm.
journal. There's a live well prayer, and there are tips, mind tips, body tips, and spirit tips to develop in those three areas. This can be purchased on the Dr. Danita Thompson website. But
Mm-hmm.
what's in the future for me? So my responsibilities at the clinic are becoming less burdensome. So I'm so excited about that.
Yes.
I've been blessed with an amazing team. So I'm looking to pull back significantly from the day to day
Mm-hmm.
operation. And as I have already shared with you and others on the team, that my theme right now is now that I've crossed over and I'm in that last quarter of life,
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
theme is now that I'm going to live my life like it's golden. So I have
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things on the horizon that are just for me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I am pretty excited about that. And some of the things that fuel my passion in the industry, and still in the mental health industry, I really am looking forward to bringing back baggage claim, unpack your bags with
Mm-hmm.
Dr. I'm looking forward to that, and
Yes.
doing more keynote panel speaking seminars like that lights me up. I feel
Mm-hmm.
amazing when I get those opportunities. So I'm definitely
Yes.
passionate about that, and I also feel called to work with faith leaders.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Being a faith leader myself and being in that space, I have a heart to either see them be better prepared mentally and emotionally for their assignment,
Mm-hmm.
or to
Mm-hmm.
help them recover and heal from the brokenness that
Yeah.
they experienced in the assignment. Yeah. So those are the things that are near and dear to my heart that I am finally seeing a way that it will happen soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that you are able to step back some
Hmm.
from working so much in the business,
Yes.
now you get
Hmm.
to work on Dr. Danita.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's
Hmm.
wonderful. I mean, Mending Hearts has been blessed with some amazing people
Yes.
there.
Hmm.
Really, really amazing people. And so, for those of you who are listening, I highly encourage coming to Mending Hearts Behavioral Health and Family Services. The website is there up on the screen if you are in New Jersey, because all of us who practice there, we are licensed in the state of New Jersey. And unfortunately, it's not like physical health care where you can just go anywhere and see
Right.
anybody with
Mhm.
mental health care. For most states, I know there are some compact states, but in most cases, you have to live in the state where your clinician is licensed, and all of
Mhm.
us are licensed in the state of New Jersey. It's so funny. I was thinking back to Friday night when Dr. Danita was on a panel at a girls' night out. It was amazing. It was amazing. I had a wonderful time. And the facilitator asked all of the panelists what was their theme song for this season of their life. And so the first three, they all named Christian songs and whatever. And Dr. Danita said, listen, mine is living my life like it's golden. And
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Because I think as we mature and as we continue to live our life, I think it's healthy to be reflective and think about what we want
Yes. Yes.
this season to look like.
Yep.
Because sometimes, as you said, if we're not intentional, life just happens to us. And before we know it, 5 years and 10 years and 15 years. And next thing you know, we'll be 85 years old saying, my God, where did the time go? Because I absolutely agree with that. As I am approaching 70, I'm also thinking about the same thing because I realize I don't have as many years ahead of me as I do behind me.
Yeah.
But whatever I have left, and I know you feel this way also, whatever we have left, we want to live it to the fullest and get the most joy we can out of it and live it with the greatest of passion.
Absolutely.
So, Dr. Danita, I cannot thank you enough for being here. Those of you who are still with us, give a shout out and thank you for Dr. Danita. Y'all know she's always, the way Dr. Danita always shows up for us and she pours into us and she always has so much information to share. So I thank you, thank you, thank you. I thank those of you who have listened live. I thank those who may listen later because some people do watch the podcast later. Not everybody comes up live. So I want to invite you all to come back next week. Next week, we're going to talking about when effort becomes one-sided, recognizing imbalance in a relationship that leads to resentment. Because Kelly is here. Hey, Kelly. Hey, Kelly. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. So hopefully y'all could come back again on next Sunday. We'll be here. I think we have maybe 3 more programs before we take a break for the summer. July and August, I don't do any lives because I spend a lot of time with them grandchildren. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. I love you all, and I will see you